The year is 2202, the galaxy in shambles, trying seemingly in vain to pull itself back together. How did we get here? Why is it like this? Hey everyone, Daelric here. I'm excited to announce the new upcoming Mass Effect campaign we have going on here on Lost Initiative. And to get you ready and hopefully excited for the game, let's dive into a little bit of the lore of the galaxy as it stands. To keep it brief, Mass Effect is a setting that takes place in the future. Somewhere in 2157, humanity finds out that it was not alone in the galaxy, that there were many, many other races out there. With a few speed bumps, humans integrated with the other species, and progress was made, until the Reaper War started. The Reapers are starship-sized, sapient AI that have the single purpose of wiping out all advanced organic life and other AI every 50,000 years or so. The events of the Mass Effect trilogy take place, culminating in Commander Shepard activating the Crucible in 2187. Stuff happens, more on that in a minute, and then our game begins. Before we can go any further, something we need to address. For those of you that are familiar with the Mass Effect series, you're going to know of Commander Shepard. Commander Shepard in this game will not have a defined gender identity, combat style, love interest, or overall aesthetic. I'm doing this because as you watch the campaign, I want you to envision your Shepard as the one that set up the world. This is a continuation of your playthrough of the games. As for the major choices made by Shepard and their team across the trilogy, I can't escape defining those. It literally sets up the world. However, rather than having me dictate the decisions Shepard chose, I left that to the community. In Discord, link for that below, there were a ton of polls to decide the various outcomes throughout the trilogy. And then after that, there were some more decisions made via more polls in Patreon. If you're curious about any of those outcomes, I'll have those set up in a linked PDF below as well. Back to the story. So, as I said, in early 2157, the Crucible goes off. This big, massive energy surge comes ripping through the Citadel and starts pouring across the entire local cluster, which is where Sol or Earth is. It hits the mass relay that's there, and then starts blasting out from that mass relay to the other mass relays, acting as like kind of signal boosters and distributors along the whole way. Now, the Reapers, unlike what you may have expected from finishing the games, kind of anticipated something like this might happen. They had foreseen it. Again, infinitely intelligent AI that's been around for tens of millions of years, etc., etc., etc. Because of that, they realized that the only way that they had a chance to survive was to misalign some of the relays, allow some of the relays to take the full brunt of the energy and effectively be destroyed. So that's exactly what happens. The local cluster and various other clusters around it, as you can see on the maps that we have, they are just removed, faded out of existence because of the relays being destroyed. This segmented the galaxy in an immense way. It used to be galactic north, south, east, west could always get around to each other. Because of the lack of the whole southern connection, the only way to get from galactic east to galactic west now is through galactic north. What you're going to see on the map is all of the connections lead through Omega. Omega has always been known as a location for crime, villainy, Tortuga in space, if you will. As long as you follow the local laws, which there aren't very many, then you're going to get by. The local laws set by whoever's in charge, and up until at least the beginning of the third Mass Effect video game, it was an Asari by the name of Aria. Whether or not Aria is still in charge, we'll find out shortly. Either way, because all travel must go through Omega, this gives an immense unbalance of power into the hands of Omega as we move away from the end of the trilogy and where the galaxy stands and moving forward. That means that is going to be the center of galactic commerce moving forward. That's frightening, genuinely frightening. Also, because of the segmentation of galactic east to galactic west and most of humanity's clusters and solar systems and whatnot that they had control of are removed, it makes it harder for the Citadel species to interact with one another. Moreover, there's no Citadel. It was literally removed. It's still, if it's not destroyed, in the local cluster by Sol, hovering over Earth with a beam looking down at London. So the counselors themselves have to kind of be broken up into two groups. In this campaign, there's not going to be 4 council races anymore. There's going to be 5. What that 5th council race is, you'll know soon. But that does mean that the counselors are going to be broken up into Council East and Council West. They're going to work together however they need to get the job done. They'll be able to communicate via quantum entangled communication, so it's real time and what have you, so you don't need to worry about that. It is still fully a council. It's just they don't control the north, they just control the mid to southern parts of the rest of the galaxy. It's crazy. Many other things happened as well. Without the whole galaxy being kind of glued together, that also means commerce itself has fallen apart. Unless the Volus step up to fix the commerce like they have done before, will commerce be corrected? We'll always be in control of whoever's in Omega. Maybe it's the Volus that control Omega.
I am a biotic god.
The Krogan. The genophage was cured. In this iteration, as voted by the community, the genophage was cured. What's to stop the Krogan from doing what Krogan do? Making babies and killing people. It's a genuine concern. The Geth and the Quarian both want to live on their home worlds. Neither of them want to give it up, and peace doesn't seem to be an option. There's constant war going between them. Is there something that's going to stop that war? There's so many different things that are going on, so many different ways for the different species in the worlds to interact. Who's on Galactic East? Who's on Galactic West? How do they interact with one another? And then I didn't even touch on one of the most critical parts of what had transpired. If you're familiar with the games, you know that most militaries converged in the local cluster over Earth to protect the Citadel as it was activating the Crucible for the beams to go off. That is most militaries of all the galactic species, and most importantly, of the Reapers. Since the Reapers were there as well in their vast quantities, when the relays went off, when the beam went off and the relay shut down, that does mean that most of the Reapers were destroyed or whatever happened, and they're stuck there, just as everybody else, or floating around dead in space, just as everybody else. But there's still about 10% of the Reapers left. And it's been about 15 years since the ending of the game, since the end of the war. With most of the militaries lacking their, peoples, their ships, their firepower, the Reapers continue to wreak havoc. The galaxy itself is almost as though Thanos snapped them away. About 50% of all life that was known in the galaxy prior to 2186 are gone. Just gone. This leaves loads of vacant homes, loads of vacant worlds for our players to explore, to discover, and to enjoy, to leave their impact, their mark, to affect the game. I really hope you like the idea of the game that I'm putting together for you, and join us. We go live Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. EST. Thanks.